Okay, both of these rocks and boats sank. We've just done that experiment. I'm going to empty all the materials out and get the rocks out. So we know that our boats sink normally. Well, we don't know that, do we? Let's see. If I put this in and put some water into it, there's a container with water in. If I fill that up with water, does it float or does it sink? Ooh, it's just sinking, isn't it? So, why does that sink? If it's not got any water in, it floats. If it's full of water, it might take a little time. It nearly floats, but actually it sinks, doesn't it? Can you see it's going down to the bottom under the water? It's sunk to the bottom. So some things can float, but won't float if they're full of water. Alright, so we've got that experiment. That's another experiment. Tin can. It's floating, but it's got water in it. If I push it down a little bit, it's still floating. It's got water in it. How does that work? What happens if I fill it with water? Will it float then? It's full of water now, full to the brim. No, it doesn't float at all. So even if it's partly full of water, a tin can, it won't float like that. It topples over, and it gets some water in. But it still floats. Even if I put a bit more water in, it's still floating. Look, it's still floating, isn't it? Let's try it with just a rock in. Okay, I'll put a rock in the bottom. It floats. Doesn't float very straight, but it's floating. Got a rock in it. Put another rock in. It's still floating. Put another rock in. Oh, it's sinking. Oh no! It's still floating. Let's put another rock in. Sunk. So, we can put rocks in. Let's tip all the water out and just have rocks in it. So there's all the water gone. Will this float or will this sink? It's got rocks in it, but could it float? Let's see. I'll put it in very carefully. It's floating. How can you explain that?